Desiree Wordsworth, the dance chair at Louisiana Academy of Performing Arts. Today we're talking about secrets of the dance trade, and with me today are our lovely dance teachers.
My name is Mollie Fote. I teach in River Ridge.
My name is Savannah Pender. I teach in Mandeville.
My name is Kaylin Wilson. I teach in River Ridge.
Awesome. Glad you guys could join us today. And so let's get to it. Let's discuss those secrets of the dance trade, things that you can do to become the best dancer that you can be. So one of the big things that I want to talk about first is nutrition. What's a really good breakfast that you guys start the day with? Anybody want to talk about it? For me, it's always going to be eggs and bacon, usually some protein and some fruit. To start the day, and I like to drink some tea and some water just to get hydrated first thing in the morning, because after we sleep we're a little bit dehydrated, so it's good to go ahead and get those fluids going. Anybody else have a good breakfast that you like to eat?
Yeah, I love bananas and oatmeal. That's usually how I start my day, and some green tea usually, and a big glass of water.
Yum.
Yeah, I start my day with vitamins and a big glass of water as well, and then eggs and tomatoes.
Nice.
I'm really into that recently.
I do yogurt and granola, and I'm not a big fan of the water. I'm really bad at drinking water, and so I use the powders, like Crystal Light powders, the zero sugar, and that makes me drink a ton of water during the day because I'm awful at drinking water. So those are really easy to pick up.
That's good. Moving on to lunch for me, I like to do usually a lot of vegetables. I try to get at least 1 cup of vegetables in. So that's usually a salad with some protein added to it, whether that's nuts or some type of nice light meat that I can have during the day. That's good. I'm not a big snacker though. So I usually stick to the 3 meals, and sometimes, but not often, do I snack. How do you all handle the middle of the day and perhaps snacking?
I snack a lot. Snacks are good, but protein snacks, not. If I'm having chips, like a sneak food, it's not high in calories or high in sugar. It's something that tastes good, and it's not a lot of it. But protein for like the main lunch part is a sandwich or grilled chicken or a salad with chicken, but protein definitely in the middle of my day.
Good, for getting that energy going.
Yeah.
Speaking of protein, I love the portable protein boxes. I don't know if you've seen them. They're called like P2 or P3. You can get them anywhere. But they have like ham, cheese, and almonds. I eat almonds a lot. They're a good snack, and they keep you full too. So it's good for dancing. I always have them in my bag.
Yeah, I'm terrible at snacking. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't have enough time in the day to snack, or think I don't. So protein shakes are helpful for me. Just like you can get little packets of powder and just pour it into a water bottle, shake it up, and you have a little energy boost. But typically I have 3 big meals in the day. So my lunch is like baked chicken and green beans and peppers, and I just, whatever's in my fridge. I just kind of throw it together, and, just like you, like mostly vegetables and baked chicken or fish or something like that. So.
And I think pretty much for the dinner, it's going to be basically the same, where you're eating your vegetables, you're having your meats there. For dancers, it's so important that you get a nice colorful plate. You're seeing different things on your plate. You're eating a variety. Really try to stay away from lots of sugars and lots of desserts. Desserts are great. We all love them. I'm a fan of chocolate, but we just can't have it every day and in large portions. And that's just good for overall health. So if we're eating our fruits, our veggies, we're getting our nuts and our grains in there and our nice healthy meat, we're doing really good.
Yeah, I think the main things that you touched were meal prep and portion control. Those are the main things, and making sure that we eat on time.
Right. Absolutely. It's really good. I had a teacher that said, you eat until you're full. You don't need to eat beyond that. There will be another meal. So you can go ahead and just eat until you're comfortably full, right? And for children, we really want them to be eating healthy because they've got long days. They're getting up really early. They've got a lot of activities in the day. We want to make sure they're getting all that good nutrients in their system so they can grow and be strong, healthy dancers. So anybody else want to add anything to that?
I have one more thing.
Yes.
As far as hydration goes, I find that sometimes I think that I want a snack or want to eat more, but really my body's just telling me you need to drink more water.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I believe it's 70%. Fact check me. But I believe we're like that percentage
Is
of water our bodies are. So it's very, very important for high functioning, bodies to have water.
It's so good that you mentioned that, because a lot of times when you're feeling that hunger signal, it really is that you are thirsty. Or if your head is hurting, you're thirsty. You need to be drinking, and it's really good to have a water bottle. Bring it to class with you. We'd love for you to have your water bottle in class. You won't be able to drink it during the entire class, but it's good to have it there should you start to feel really dry. It's very helpful. Yeah. Okay, so that's one secret of the trade, nutrition. Let's go into our favorite topic. Everyone is so excited about being flexible. We know you all want to be super flexible. Stretching. How do you get good flexibility, Miss Mollie?
Well, some of the best times to stretch are right after a hot shower. So take time because your muscles are already warmed by the water. If you have a hot tub, after the hot tub, you're warm again, or right before you go to bed, it's when your body is tired and your muscles are not contracting as much. Those are the best times to stretch. Stretching in your bed is some of my favorite things to do, kind of like a little nighttime yoga routine in bed. And you can do it when you wake up as well. It gets your body ready for the day, but also the muscles are like the most ready for that stretching time. And especially if you're only taking one class a week, your homework is to stretch at home so that you come to class and your body and your muscles have progressed since the last week. But yeah, stretch when you're relaxed and tired and warm and cozy. Don't stretch when you're cold. Don't stretch outside if it's cold. You want your muscles to be in the perfect way to stretch accurately.
So ideally when they're warm, right?
Yes.
When they're warm. We don't want to stretch when we're cold and very tense. You want those muscles to be relaxed. You want to start off with gentle stretching and then progress from there. And we want to do it on a regular basis. So if you're taking one day a week, you need to be stretching at least 2 to 3 times a week, I would say.
Stretch while you do chores. Put your heel up on the counter while you're washing the dishes. Doing homework, instead of doing the homework at a desk, maybe take one time where you're reading a book and do it on the floor in a stretch position where your mind is thinking about something else, watching TV, and you're not thinking about, oh, my legs hurt. You're thinking about, oh, the TV show I'm watching, and your legs can kind of just enjoy the stretch. Distraction.
I think it's really important to know, there's soft stretching and then there's deep stretching, right? So soft stretching is stuff that you can do with ease. Like you do your nighttime yoga in bed. Like, I wish I was disciplined enough to do that every night. But yeah, and I do notice a difference in, my body once I wake up. But warming up is super important. When you don't warm up and you jump straight into your deep stretches, you actually start tearing at the muscle fibers. And that can cause a lot of damage and be very harmful. And then, injuries. And we don't want those, right?
No.
So stretch, but make sure you do that responsibly. If you want a deep stretch, please warm up first.
Absolutely. You want to get your heart rate going too before, so do some jumping jacks, run around, whatever. And stretching also increases longevity. So there's a lot of benefits. Parents that are watching this, you should stretch too. But you can definitely, when you're watching TV, that's the easiest, but it's never going to get easy. If we can do all of our splits and it's still, it never feels good, you have to want it. You have to stretch every day. You can't just come to class and expect that your split's going to be a lot further when you haven't done it during the week. So, and also make sure you hold each stretch that you do rather than doing like 18 different poses for 5 seconds. Choose 4, maybe a lunge or you're just working on your back muscles that day, whatever it is. Choose one body part that you want to stretch that day and hold each stretch for 30 seconds.
I also like to say that your brain has a lot to do with it as well. So a lot of students, when you're doing your stretch, if you're complaining or if you're going, oh my gosh, it hurts so bad, I can't do this, I can't do it, your brain and your body responds to that by, also saying, oh, I can't do it. So while you're stretching, if you're calm mind, taking deep breaths, telling yourself, look, I've gotten further, or I'm going to get this split next week, next month, or whatever you want to say to yourself, just don't complain, because complaining, it just blocks your brain and your muscles completely from actually succeeding, I think.
I love that you said take deep breaths. Breathing is so important when you're stretching. You want to get that oxygen to the muscles. So you've got to take those inhales and you've got to have that exhaling happening so that your muscles can really relax and feel
through
good.
The nose,
out through the mouth.
In through the nose, out through the mouth.
One of those wonderful things you talked about is engaging your brain in dance. So this brings us to choreography. How do we learn choreography? How do we remember those steps? How do we get ready for an audition? How do we get ready for a recital? What kind of tricks do you all use to learn pieces of choreography?
I always use a story. So rather than, okay, this comes next, then there's a pas de bourrée, there's a story behind each move, and there's a reason why we're going to where we're going. So it's always important to connect the pieces of your choreography so you begin to think of it as one and not a bunch of different little parts.
Yeah, and have fun with it, because I do
Right.
that as well. I'm like, step behind and walk to the store, and the kitten hands go to
Yes.
the store. You know, like, you have to make it fun for yourself to remember
For
it.
sure.
Like, if you can laugh to it, you know, I'm sure that will be memorable.
So remembering choreography, I think it helps when you choreograph at home on yourself. I think that actually builds up your choreography brain when you're practicing something that you've come up on your own. So when you go to class, picking up choreography from someone else kind of comes a little bit more naturally. But yeah, making a story totally works. Practicing, like, I call it my dancer brain. So you turn your dancer brain on, and the choreography slowly starts embedding itself in your brain to the point where if you hear that song on the radio, in your head you should be going through the movement. And it should be really horribly annoying a couple years down the road when you're doing the same choreography in your head. But that's your dancer brain, when it's so stuck in there that anytime you hear that tune, your brain starts saying the moves. I think that's when it gets good.
I think I'm totally with you on the music. I think listening to those musical cues, we all do it. Whether the person is singing and there's a certain word, you know, oh, I need to look up here, I need to be on the floor there. Or it's just that music moves you. A lot of times I will encourage, like you said, Mollie, dancers to listen to music, close your eyes, and try to visualize dance. It's hard for me when I'm listening to a song, I really like the song, that I will not sing it because I am seeing people moving. And I think that's a really good point that you make. Incorporate the music in your movement, you know, and play with it at home. That way when you come to the studio, it's much easier. And then when you have choreography that your wonderful teachers have prepared for you, find out who is the composer or who is the artist. Can I get that song? Can you upload it for me on online resources so that I can download it and play it and dance to it? It's really good to make those connections. And you can even write it down. You know, you can write down the steps in your notebook. You can write it in a special notebook that you keep. You can write down a pattern. We used to do dance maps a lot where you start, you know, with a little X. I start in this corner and then I move to the center and then I go downstage and then I go upstage, right? All those things help you to remember your choreography. So that's just a couple of tricks on the choreography
Also,
point.
parents, I think some of the things that I really enjoyed is when family gets together, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever happens, encourage your students to maybe make up a dance and perform it for the family. I know sometimes some kids are not about that. They're really shy, but that was something I really enjoyed, and that brought the creativity of dance home and made me perform in front of my family, and it's kind of funny. You get really good videos out of it.
Absolutely.
But that makes the kids be more engaged with dance, not just in the dance center, bringing it home.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because I totally did that. I was
Me
at
too.
family reunions. I'm like, I'm grabbing the cousins, like,
Yep.
we're doing this dance, you know?
yeah.
And you all have these same stories, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
my grandmother told me, like, one of the last times I visited her, she was like, asking me to dance for her, like, do a dance, and I was like, oh, I haven't been like rehearsing a dance. She goes, oh, you should always be rehearsing a dance. And I'm looking at her like, are you the dance professional here? Or is it me? Like, tell somebody, let me know, because I'm confused. But yeah, like, I love how you said, like, always be practicing, because the brain is muscle as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, practice, like, just picking up. And most importantly, you mentioned vocabulary.
Yes.
Knowing your dance vocabulary is super important. So if you ask somebody, say, you know, we're in the middle of class, you turn to a friend and you're like, hey, so what's that step? If they can say pas de bourrée or chasse or something, you know, that's easier than them having to, like, you know, break out and show, you know, in the middle of class. So know your choreography, you know, and practice, just like with anything, just practice picking it up.
Okay, so that's the good tip there. Let's talk a little bit about how we learn more about dance. I know many of us here, we watch a lot of the things online or we read different things. Does anyone want to share something that they're always reading or watching, viewing, your favorite dancers, different things that will encourage parents and students to get out there and learn more about dance?
I love Kaylin Kinney. I don't know if y'all have heard of her. She's a great ballet and contemporary dancer. She, you can look her up on YouTube. She has a lot of good tips for ballet and how to practice at home and stretching. She's really good on stretching and makes it fun. You can also look up tutorials for, you know, like a stretch at home, different things. It's fun to, you know, search online and find different ways to play around.
Yeah, YouTube's great. YouTube is awesome. I use YouTube for, like, how to put the car seat in my new car. YouTube. But also, like, how do I do a stretch to get this the end result that I want? And YouTube's great for just seeing what's out there in the dance world. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be in this little contained bubble in New Orleans, Louisiana, and think that that's all the dance that's out there. We want to see what they're doing in New York, what they're doing in Montana, what they're doing in Florida and California, even across in England and anywhere in the world. We want to see what they're doing because we might want to be a part of it. So I think there's lots of videos about dancers doing careers outside of Louisiana that are really interesting. I think kids would love to watch the dancers who are on cruise ships. Those are really cool videos for me. Mm-hmm. I have some friends that do that, and I think that's such a cool inspiration. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of our parents should be encouraging students to look, what could you do with this in the future? The big picture. And then on top of it, there's so many companies that are on YouTube that are just posting, and it's just, you can go into a deep dive hole of whatever choreography you want to look at. I love the Royal Ballet. Biased from England. But one of my favorite things about them is they do the traditional ballets, but then they come up with their own. Like they did Alice in Wonderland, they did Frankenstein ballet, cool. And they post all of their creative content. Like, how did we come up with this music? Choreography. They post rehearsals. They even post like 2-hour-long bar sessions. Yeah. So I've told a lot of my students, look it up. Set yourself up with a chair at home and follow along. Yeah, you may not be able to do everything, but it's kind of fun to feel like you're one of those dancers on the stage at the Royal Ballet. Yes. So I think just diving into YouTube and just looking up the things and clicking and searching and finding new things that you've never seen before. YouTube's a blessing. It really is. To the dance community.
And it's a free resource.
Free. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, free.
I like to do Point Magazine and Dance Magazine as well because they've got great articles. And from one article, it may send you in other directions to go view something or watch something or learn about a specific dancer or a specific company. And mostly all the professional companies, they're online. Go watch their stuff, see their dancer interviews, hear them talk about the costumes, how they made the costumes, and think about crossover too, because just because your student is studying dance doesn't mean that they want to go into another industry in the theater. Mm-hmm. So it's really exciting to see the crossover, how dancers are becoming actors and producers and designers and photographers, makeup artists. It's physical therapists. It's all there. It's all there for you online. YouTube is a good resource. Also Point Magazine, Dance Magazine. Anything else you want to add to that, Ms. Kaylin?
I'll be honest, most of my resources are on YouTube.
YouTube.
Mainly because I like to watch full-length ballets or documentaries or interviews, like you said, or I do the classes too, and they're so easy to follow along because you can change the speed of the class, you know, on in the settings of your YouTube.
Absolutely.
And you can pretty much do them anywhere. Just be careful, kids. Don't dance in too small of a space because you don't want to kick anything and hurt yourself
Next to vases.
or start breaking things. Yeah, so be careful, but you can really do them anywhere. And I think another resource that I like, or something else that I like to think of outside of dance, is anatomy. I've been injured plenty of times before, and I remember one particular injury, a hip injury. I saw a doctor, and I had to explain to him, you know, how I got this injury, and he was like, and I had to show him a few things and that we were doing in class, and he was like, "Oh, you should never do this again. The human body is not supposed to move in this way." And it really let me know that, okay, so that's the great equalizer, right? Like, none of us are really supposed to be able to do this, but we can find other ways to do this that are, you know, healthy. So I like to read a lot about anatomy and try to figure it out from that standpoint, rather than, you know, crank the leg up, you know. Like, how do you crank your leg up? Like, and what muscles am I using and such?
That's a trip to your favorite bookstore. And you need to look for dancer books, and you need to look for anatomy books. And Health for Dancers, it's available to you. There's a lot of different resources. If you need any help with that, please talk to us. We'd be happy to share with you where we get those resources from. But it's so good for parents to know what their young dancers are going through, but then also the dancers to educate themselves so they can take care of their bodies, which is really, really good. So.
Yeah, and if you can't find anything specifically on dance, looking for things on athletics is also good, because at the end of the day, we are still athletes.
Exactly. I think we're the most demanding profession.
Yes.
So the study has been released.
If dance was easy, it'd be called football.
That's right. You know, it's harder than football. So there you go. We thank you for joining us today, and we hope that these secrets of the dance trade will help you and your young dancer.